Now we're going to talk to Renee Stephens. She's the Vice President of Automotive for J.D. Power and Associates. How are you, Renee?
Great. How are you, Xavier?
Thank you. Very, very good. Thank you. So we talked not very long ago about the initial quality study from J.D. Power and Associates, and now the new study, the APEAL Study, which is Automotive Performance, Execution, and Layout for 2014. And I guess similar results here than the other one, right?
Yes, this is our 19th year doing the APEAL Study as we looked at it. And really what we look at in this study are really the emotional connection that the customers have to the vehicle, what they like and dislike about the vehicle.
Yeah, and this is actually pretty important because I have at least this theory that even though manufacturers put a lot of money in research and marketing and studies and all that, it comes down to what people really like in cars, right? I mean, like, it can be a very small detail.
Oh, absolutely. And as we look at it, there's all sorts of attributes that people look at. We look at about 77 different attributes in this study, and it can range from things like fuel economy and what they feel about that to what they feel about the entertainment system to how they like the seats. It has a lot of different attributes that people consider as they're rating their vehicles and how they feel about that.
Yeah. Actually, I have some friends that, for example, I remember in case of the Murano, when the whole steering wheel and the instrument cluster moved together, she didn't like that because she thought it was like many important parts moving together, and she thought it might be a risk of that, and she didn't buy it because of just that simple detail. That's pretty funny, I think.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and how simple yet complete that we make these displays is really important because people are driving these vehicles down the road, and they need to be able to quickly turn up the volume on the radio or turn down the heat or really operate the features without putting themselves in any problem from a safety standpoint.
Yeah, and actually in this new APEAL study, that was kind of the important issue, right? I mean, there's a lot of new technology in cars, but people are not feeling very comfortable using it.
Yeah, as we look at, typically in this study, we'll see that all new vehicles, so newly redesigned vehicles, tend to score higher, with higher appeal than, say, carryover models that might be a little bit longer from a design standpoint since their last refresh. And we saw that again this year. The carryover models scored about 805 in the new models scored 805 and the carryovers models scored about 791. But what we saw was interesting that the study found that all new vehicles tended to be much higher in satisfaction in areas like fuel economy, because we're providing new eco boost and really fuel efficient engines, and the feel and the styling of controls, and also the interior. They really liked the interior's styling, but they were less different in terms of the usefulness of controls and functions in areas like the nav system and voice recognition, and also any of the technology applications that are on the vehicle. So while the manufacturers are really making things look pretty and people are loving it, we also need to pay attention to make sure that we're making those features and functions. We're delivering features and functions that are intuitive and useful to customers.
Yeah, so
it's
this
a challenge.
Yeah, but this is not a problem of the actual technology, the design of the application of the systems, but more like a learning curve that customers are feeling is not fast enough.
Yeah, some of it could be related to a learning curve. It's just different, and that's really why it's important too. What happens at the dealership is the dealers are delivering these vehicles that they do take the time, or they do offer an opportunity for customers to better understand their features. But on the other side, they really need to be very simple to understand, so that customers can easily understand how to use the features without really being confused on how they are supposed to work.
Yeah. I guess we in the media are kind of spoiled in that sense, and actually we learn more because we test all of the systems and more or less we figure them out. But for a new customer, especially if he or she is coming from a car that is like, let's say, 5-10 years old, might have a radio and pretty much that it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So they have all new technology to learn, and there's some great options in these vehicles. And as we move forward, more and more customers will get used to some of the technology that they're being offered today as well. So there will be a learning curve, and and another, as we look at probably 3 years out, we'll see these areas improve as we go forward.
Does J.D. Power and Associate do a study, because this one is based between the first and the 90th date of ownership, right? Do you study or follow up, like, let's say, six months, and to see the difference, how people feel about these same issues?
Actually, we have another study we do more on the lines of similar to the initial quality study, where we look at issues or concerns that customers have had with their vehicle. We do that at 3 years of ownership. That's called the Vehicle Dependability Study, and we'll publish that in February of next year. We typically publish that in February. But that looks at what happens after the third year of ownership and what concerns customers find at that point in time.
So maybe
that will be interesting as well.
Yeah, exactly, because maybe this technology is so new that you don't have enough data to compare when people are starting to use these new systems.
Yeah, and I think our knowledge bank, even at manufacturers, is going to grow over time. They're putting more and more new technology, things like the side blind alerts and the front collision alerts, haptic seats. There's more and more going into vehicles, which is really important because it's relative to helping customers feel more safe in their vehicles. And so as that, we will learn over time as well, as an industry, on what really helps customers to the point where you don't want to find something that's too distracting. So what's that right balance between providing information to the driver so they can react and versus being too distracting so they don't know what to react to.
Yeah.
So that's something we need to look at balancing, and we'll continue to start measuring this as we go forward.
And I guess when more smartphones come out to the market and more people are using it, since the technologies are more or less similar in terms of use, maybe that will help also in that sense. I don't know.
No, absolutely. We have also a tech study where we look at some of the more deeper, a little bit in the technology area, and we do find that people are very comfortable with the functions on their phone. And as you look at some of the systems that manufacturers are putting now into their vehicles, they're really meant more to mimic the phone and actually take some of the functionality from the phone and offer it in the vehicle. And customers really like that technology, where they don't have to relearn. They know how it functions. It's not every function you can bring across in the phone, but ones where you can safely bring across, customers tend to really react positively to that.
Yeah, and I guess that's where the both industries are like working closer together now with the application of the Apple and Android systems into car infotainment systems, right?
Absolutely. It's technology is really kind of the next quality battleground, really, for many of the companies now, as they're looking at it. What technology needs to come into vehicles, and then how do they implement it in a way that provides extra value to their customers.
Yeah, we're talking to Renee Stephens, Vice President of the Automotive Division at J.D. Power and Associate, about the APEAL Study for 2014. And Renee, can we talk a little bit about the specific brands? I guess Porsche seems to be there every time, right?
Yeah, Porsche has done excellent in this study. They have ranked number one as the top brand for the last 10 years. So they continue to hold that and have done very well. Jaguar also did very well. They moved from 8th rank last year up to 2nd rank this year with the launch of their new F-Type. So they performed very well. Audi has continued to perform well. They ranked 2nd last year, jumped to 3rd this year, but still, again, very strong performance from Audi.
Yeah, and then Hyundai in the non-premium brands. I mean, now I understand this is the first time it's ranked number one in the initial quality study and the APEAL study. So it's not a surprise anymore from what they're doing, right?
Yeah, Hyundai has just been amazing to watch over the last several years, and yeah, this year they were the top-ranked non-premium, both in IQS and APEAL, and that's the first time ever for a non-premium to achieve that in our study in all the years we've been doing this study. So an awesome, really awesome accomplishment, and they moved up totally in the industry from number 18 to number 13, but really, really good performance. And as you look at the vehicles they have, they're basically, mainly this year, they're carryover vehicles that they're seeing this improvement on. So again, that's something that's really noteworthy in the study.
So you haven't seen the Sonata, the new Sonata, redesigned Sonata in this study yet because it just came out, right? So most likely they will continue to be to rank very high.
Correct. Yeah, the Sonata that we have improved, and it also it's done very well in the study, and it's not the redesign yet. We'll see that next year.
Excellent. Renee, so is there a website where audience can go and look for more information about this, which is very valuable at the moment when they decide to go and buy or lease a new car?
Absolutely. They can go to jdpower.com, and they can see the results of not just the APEAL study, but also initial quality study and VDS. They can actually go look up models and vehicles and see the ratings that they have on these various vehicles relative to their competitive set.
Excellent. Thank you very much again for your time, Renee. A pleasure talking to you again, and we'll talk about the next study when it comes out.
Excellent. Thank you so much for your time.
Bye.